Hey guys, Miss Gilroy wanted me to film a quick video to answer a few questions you guys had about my piece that you guys are reading right now, but I just want to say how much of an honor it is for the 7th and 8th graders of Lincoln to actually be reading my piece and to be enjoying my piece and annotating it. I feel like that is like one of the biggest honors I can ever get, especially like for my writing right now. When I was writing this piece, it started off as an English assignment for in my sophomore year, which is 10th grade, and it was just supposed to be like probably the same assignment you guys are gonna do now, where it's just like you just write a short memoir or a short personal essay about like one moment in your life that you think that impacted you specifically. I just wanted to say that like when I started this assignment, it was only supposed to be 2 or 3 pages, and when you find the right topic, that you want to write about, I think the same thing's gonna happen to you that happened to me. Maybe not, it depends on whether you like writing or not. But what was supposed to be 2 to 3 pages ended up being almost 20 pages long. You start writing something in class, and if it really connects with you and it really clicks with you, then you get home from school, you decide I'm gonna spend at least like 20 minutes doing this, and you look at the clock and it's 3 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? A lot of you guys might not be as crazy about writing as I am, and I think that's, as you as a writer, that's what your thought process should be. It should not be that you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I have to get through this assignment, I have to get this A, I have to get this done, I want to do it exactly as the rubric is doing. And honestly, I don't know if teachers are gonna like what I'm gonna say next. When you're starting to do your assignment, and especially with a piece just like writing your own memoir or doing your own personal essay, I don't think you should be so focused on doing exactly what the guidelines are, especially when it comes to writing something that's supposed to be personal and that's supposed to be you, like 100% you. Sort of like you get to be in charge for once, and I know a lot of people, that sounds pretty weird, like you be in charge for once, but you be in charge, it's like you get to tell the reader what's going to happen next. You decide what happens next, no one else, and that's because you're the one who's putting the words on the page. It's obviously the reader's choice whether or not to finish reading it or finish the next line or read the next word, but it's your choice to put what word and what word goes through their head and how to make them feel. And obviously everybody's going to interpret things different ways and stuff like that, but you have to understand when you're writing something that it's your decision. It's your decision how you want people to feel, what message you want to convey, what point you want to make, basically. That, because it's one thing where a teacher tells you that they like your work, where your friend reads your assignment, they say, oh, it's good, it's good. You give it to your mom, of course your mom's gonna say she likes it. But to be chosen out of 6,000 applicants that entered this contest, and to be chosen, I didn't make the top 10, obviously. I didn't make the top 10, I didn't make it. But to even get something out of that, out of 6,000 applicants, and by the way, this is an 18 years and up contest. There you go. 18 years and up contest. This is not, you're entering into Scholastic or not that award wouldn't be amazing too, please. But this is an 18-year-old and up contest. This is, writing against people who are 30, 40 years old. For them to even say that your writing is good enough to get something out of this, that was amazing. I didn't make the top 10, but I was close, and not a lot of people get to say that. Question number 1 that Miss Gilroy wanted me to answer was, what inspired you to choose this moment? And as I was talking about before, I feel like I chose this moment because when you're choosing what you want to write, obviously most people choose something that impacted them a lot in their lives, and you guys read what happened. I don't really need to explain what happened, but bad things happen to everyone, and obviously there's a car passing by, but obviously what happened is something that needs to be recognized, and by you guys reading it, I guess that's just one more mind I get to change. And even though you guys are just in the 7th grade, which I think is crazy, like, oh my gosh, I can't remember what I did in the 7th grade. I believe you, the 7th graders in middle school, and the 9th graders who are also reading this piece of mine, that when you guys read it, obviously it's not, you guys can't change anything right now, but I believe if I change you guys' minds right now, whoever reads it, that's just, you have to think about your work as, if somebody reads it, that's one more mind that has gotten the knowledge out of your work. You might have not understood what you had to say, but at least they heard you. And I think that's amazing. Another thing amazing about writing is that even if people don't understand what you have to say, they don't get it, they don't get your point, they don't want to get your point, they still read it, and they still got your idea, and you still got your voice heard, and that's not cool. I don't know what inspired me to choose this moment is that it wasn't a happy moment for me, and it wasn't a happy moment for anybody, I think, involved. But it's still my voice, and it's still my writing, and somebody read it, and it might have changed somebody's mind, I guess. You can get from all that rambling. Question number 2, what were you trying to convey to the reader? Again, I think when it comes to writing personal essays or writing a memoir or something, it's more about what you want to convey to yourself, if that makes any sense. First, picking the topic, you have to pick a topic that is going to be interesting to you. If it's not interesting to you, it's not going to be interesting to anybody else. or if it didn't mean something to you, it's not going to mean anything to anybody else. You shouldn't be thinking about what your reader has to say, and that's another thing about writing. I feel like when you can tell when somebody's writing not for themselves, they're writing for, they're not being sincere. I feel like they know they're trying to like tap into some audience or something like that. They're trying to make a profit or something, or they're trying to get a good opinion, a good rating or whatever. They're not writing for themselves, and I think that's sort of cheap, I guess. I don't know, I don't like it personally. But you know, I wanted, especially when you're conveying to the writer, I don't know if all teachers are gonna agree with this, but who cares? Who cares what the reader has to say? I wasn't, when I was writing this especially, you know, obviously when I started I was trying to get that good grade, you know, that A+. But who cares personally? When you're first starting writing, when you're first deciding what am I gonna put on this piece of paper, forget about what the reader's gonna think. Forget about what you're trying to convey. I wasn't thinking about what you guys were gonna think about it. Honestly, when I started writing, I didn't think you guys were gonna read it. I thought the only person who was gonna read it was my teacher, you know. But that's what I was saying, especially with a project like this. Who cares? I wasn't trying to convey anything to anybody. I was trying to get what I felt on the paper, what I felt, my words on the paper. And it's probably not a very good answer. Sum all of that up. When it comes to personal essays and memoirs, don't think about what you're trying to convey to the reader. Think about what matters to you and what you're trying to convey to yourself. You know, what are you trying to prove to yourself? What do you want people to, when they read this, because this piece is obviously a representation of you. What do you want them to get out of you? If that makes any sense. What do you want, when people read this, it's going to be their interpretation of you. What do you want them to get out of that, basically? And going back to, if it's not interesting to you, it's not going to be interesting to other people. I know writing's not everybody's thing, not everybody's personal hobby or whatever, but obviously pick something that's interesting. If the most interesting thing to you was your first day of middle school, then you write about that. If the most interesting thing that's ever happened to you was your first day of doing baseball, soccer, tennis, whatever, then write about that. That's interesting to you. Or it was your sibling being born for the first time, your parents getting married, if you were there. I was there. Let's say, you know, like people in my age group, like getting your first car, getting your first job, getting all these things that are interesting. Maybe for you guys, getting your first boyfriend or girlfriend or something. That's what's interesting. And I feel like you honestly don't have to spell it out for your reader what you're trying to convey, because if you can, I think especially with writing, you should let the reader have their own interpretation. I know what I meant from what I wrote in that personal essay, but I don't know what you guys honestly got from it. And I think that's also another thing that's cool about writing, is I don't know what you guys got out of that piece. I know what I got out of it because I wrote it, but what you guys got out of it, it's a mystery, and I wasn't trying to convey anything. So I think especially when you read a piece, you read any piece of literature, it's like whatever you get out of it is what you got out of it. And every single person who reads a book, it doesn't matter if you all read the same book, you all read the same paragraph, everybody's gonna get their own thing out of that paragraph, their own summary, their own interpretation, their own thoughts about it. And I think that's cool, you know. So sum up that whole ramble, I wasn't trying to convey anything. I was trying to convey what I thought was happening in that moment to myself, and I think that's what you guys should do too. That's just my opinion. Don't worry about what's gonna happen, what people are gonna think about it. You have to read that in the class, who cares? What you're trying to convey to yourself, eventually you convey that, other people are gonna get it too. Grammar and spelling, those are like my biggest weaknesses. Like, you guys can probably get your grammar and spelling better than I can, honestly. But Miss Robidoux, big shout out to you. You were a huge help. She's the one, I used to stay after school with her. She used to help me get my words the way I want to put my words, and get my spelling the way it's supposed to be, and get all of this stuff all organized for me. And you know, and she would tell me straight up, you know, like, this paragraph doesn't make any sense, you don't need it, or this doesn't, you know, obviously she wasn't like, I think that's like another thing, like, people see, it's like, I'm not a good writer. You probably are. You probably just don't know how to spell that good. You probably don't know how to use your grammar correctly. That doesn't mean you're not a good writer, because I can tell you right now, a lot of people write how they talk, and I know that I don't have the most perfect language skills, I guess I could say. That doesn't mean I'm not a good writer. That just means that I need help, and it's not, you know, it's not a bad thing for your teacher, you know, to circle that you need to fix this word, or you need to fix this sentence. That doesn't mean you're a bad writer. That just means that you need to go back and revise your work, and every single piece of work needs revision, you know. Please try either 0% or 110%. I either give 0% or give everything, and I give 110%. And with this, I was the same way, you know. I gave 110%. You know, there wasn't a night I didn't work about it. I didn't think about what I could fix, you know. And so yeah, it's gonna hurt really bad if I end up not getting anything. And I know that's what I was trying to do, not get my hopes up, because obviously the chances were pretty slim. But after, when I actually won it, the first thing, and like people always like, what? The first thing I found out that I actually got something, but it was only an honorable mention, I was so disappointed. I was like, I just looked at, I got it, was like, I remember it was in the middle of math class, and I got a notification on my phone, and don't check your phone during class, obviously, but I did. So I knew it was the day that they were announcing it, and I looked at my email and it was like, honorable mention? Is that it? I didn't even make it to the top 10, like what? You know, that was my reaction. I was like, that sucks. Dude, that sucks, because I spent all this time, spent all these afternoons, I tried so hard and all I got was an honorable mention. But you know, and after, you know, I went to like Miss Robin and I told her, I was like, I got an honorable mention, and like she got so excited. She was like, honorable mention? And she gave me this big hug and she was like, oh my god. And I was like, like what? And like, I guess after she, you know, like she like spat some sense into me or something, she was like, you know, be happy, stop being ungrateful. You know, you tried your best, you did your best. And it's crazy that you're thinking that it's not something to be proud of and stuff. And after that, you know, I started thinking like, yeah, like 6,000? I can't even count to 6,000. That's incredible, that's amazing. I can't count to 6,000, by the way, but that's crazy that I actually got something out of this, you know. And it's kind of like at the Olympics are going on right now. Like they always say the bronze medalist is always happier than the silver medalist. I guess that's how I am. Probably the person who got number 10 in top 10 was probably like, only 10? I got 10th place. I only got 10. Like, you know, I thought I did so much better. They're probably getting really down on themselves. And I'm over here like, honorable mention, honorable mention, honorable mention. I'm just happy that I got something. You know, all that hard work wasn't for nothing. I didn't throw, especially the money to enter this contest, you know, I didn't throw that away. You know, all this work wasn't thrown away. And I'm really proud of myself for that, I guess to say. I'm proud of both of us, me and Miss Rogan, for all our hard work. Last thing, if I got any final advice to current writers right now, that means you, and that means everybody who's writing right now, anybody who's gonna see this video, you, the 9th graders, everybody, is that, as you're doing peer editing, I don't know if you guys do that yet, you guys, you know, you pair up with somebody, you go in a group, and they all read your work. Don't always listen to them. Their word is not law, you know. There's a lot of times where I have people read my work and they're like, I don't get this part, you know, this part doesn't make any sense. Like, what does this mean? What do you mean by this? What does this word mean? You should use a, you know, simpler word. Don't listen to them. You don't have to. Obviously you can if you think their advice is good. But all the time, especially when it's your peers and stuff like that, you don't have to listen to them, honestly. It's good to hear what other people think, obviously, you know, be humble, you know, listen to what other people have to say, listen to what people are thinking about your work, obviously, but you don't, their word is not law, you don't have to listen to them. There's a lot of times where people said something like, I don't understand this part, and I'm like, well, I do, and I'm not changing it. That's a rule you can have for yourself. Rule number 2, the other guide rules, writing. If it doesn't sound good out loud, then it's not good. You know, if it doesn't sound good out loud, then it's not going to sound good in other people's heads. Rule number 3, don't be so hard on yourself. I'm really guilty of this. I don't know if you guys heard, our high school has the most amazing journalism club class. Journalism Academy, there you go. Journalism Academy. And I've been part of it since the 11th grade, and I have to say it's the funnest thing ever. You go on field trips, if you like field trips, join. But don't be so hard on yourself. I have so many articles, half-written articles that I've written that I haven't even, you know, that I have not even submitted to our editor because I'm so hard on myself. I don't want to publish it. I don't want anybody to read it. I'm like, this is trash. I don't like it at all. You know, you spend all this time, you're at the end, you can read it, and you can be like, this is garbage. What was I thinking? The trick is, don't be so hard on yourself, because I have written stuff like that. I'm like, I don't want anybody to see this, and I ended up turning it in. Everybody's like, this is amazing. What? I never thought about it that way, or I like how you explain this or this and that. And I'm like, really? That's like me at 0%. That sounds really cocky. That's if you hate something, maybe you shouldn't, you know, post it or something like that. But if it's a kind of hate where it's like you're self-doubting yourself and it's not an actual real hate, you like what you wrote, but you're like, you know, my self-confidence is like this, and I don't think anybody else is gonna like it, then you don't be so hard on yourself, because like I said, out of 5 people who read your stuff, 4 are gonna like it. There's always gonna be that one person that's like, this is not good, but those other 4 people are gonna be like, heck yeah, that's so awesome, OMG, great. You don't know what I'm saying. That's amazing. So, you know, 4 to 5 people always gonna like it. At least that's my rule. There's always gonna be that one person with that funky face in the corner being like, that's gross. You know, I don't like the chat to write. But you know what? Still write it. Still publish it. Still be confident in yourself. Yeah. It's worth it, and you're worth it, I guess. Especially with when I was entering this contest, I was like, is it worth it? More often than not, it's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be worth putting the extra effort, the extra. This is not even specifically for writing. It's whatever sport you do, whatever. I forgot what I was saying. Whatever you're doing, whatever sport, club, activity, whatever you're doing, it's worth it. Like, especially with writing, you might think of this idea, this crazy idea, like, oh, this story. What if what if people could fly? I want to write a whole story where everybody can fly, but where everybody has wings. And you're like, oh, that's such a crappy story. It's not worth even putting the effort into writing it. I'm telling you right now, you know, it's worth it. Put your effort into it. Especially, like, when I was thinking about this idea, I was like, this memoir, I'm like, oh, no one wants to hear about this depressing, weird story that's unfair and gross. You know what I mean? You know, but it's worth it. You're worth it. It's worth it. Let me put it this way. It's worth it because you're worth it. Your ideas, your thoughts, whatever you have to say is worth it. It's important. You can write it. I dropped my phone. But I guess you guys are getting what I'm saying. It's worth it. You're worth it. Keep that motto. Got my senior quote right there. It's worth it. You're worth it. I say this especially to my friends who say, I'm terrible at writing. I wish I could write like you. Yes, you can. Just practice. That goes into my next rule. It's what I was just saying. Write. If you like to write, if you want to get better at writing, then write. That's literally, practice makes perfect, right? Literally, I write. If I have something on my mind, then I write it down. I got Google Docs. I got, I think, hundreds of stuff in there. You know, if I'm upset, I write. If I'm happy, then write. If you're sad, then write. If you ain't feeling nothing, you're bored, then write. That's basically what I'm saying. You like the book, then write about it. Right. Like, it doesn't matter. You like this character, you wish this happened instead of that happened. Write about it. I don't know. It depends. It doesn't have to be a diary. Like especially when people say, I don't want to write when I'm sad. I don't want to write about what's making me sad. Then don't. If you're sad, then rewrite the whole entire story of Snow White if it was set in Jamaica or something. Make something up. Write about it. It's interesting. Even if you don't finish it, because half the time like I said, I got hundreds of things, but I got also hundreds of unfinished things. I only got a couple sentences. Still write, because it's still worth it. You can, you know, practice makes perfect. The more you write, the better you're gonna be at writing. You know, I didn't wake up one day and think, you know, oh, I can do whatever. You know, and taking that into account. And like I said, 5 out of 4 people are gonna like it or whatever. Sometimes you're gonna write something and it's not gonna be good. Like I said, if I've written 100 pieces, I would say probably, this is me being pretty confident in myself. Out of 100 pieces, probably about 20 of them are gonna be good. And when I say good, I mean people are gonna like them. The other, this is embarrassing. The other 80% or the other 80 pieces that I've written might not be that good, but it's practice. It doesn't have to be good. Everything you write doesn't have to be a masterpiece, and this is something that I need to tell myself most of the time too. Everything I write doesn't have to be a masterpiece. It doesn't have to be good. It's practice. Every assignment you turn in isn't gonna get an A, and that doesn't mean you shouldn't strive for the A. Like I said, I either do 0 or 110%. Everything I write, I try 110%, and that 110% isn't always gonna equal the 110% I put into it. Sometimes it might not be good. People might not like it. It might not get published. But guess what? That's practice. You're just another step further into getting published. You're just another step further into becoming a better writer. That's one of my biggest things, you know, is practice. It doesn't have to be good. Let's say, you know, I play tennis, but let's say you're playing tennis and you're throwing up the balls and you're smacking them really hard and it's just not going over the net. That doesn't mean you should stop playing. That doesn't mean you have to give up on practice early. That means you just gotta keep hitting more balls until you get one over. Eventually you will. Another rule, like I said, write. You need to read. Middle school library, I had a record. I forget if it was that semester or that year. I think it was the year, to be honest. That I read like the most books that year out of anybody else in school. You can't, and this is a bad habit of mine, you can't expect to write good if you don't read. If you don't read other people's work. You know, if you don't read books, you don't read articles, you don't read, how you expect to be a better writer if you don't read what other people have to write. Like even, I don't say you have to go check out to your library and go get Shakespeare, go get, what is it, in class right now I'm reading Beowulf. That's some hard stuff right there. Beowulf and Grendel, that's some hard books right there. But I'm not saying you gotta go read way above your level, gotta get, you know, I need to read the thickest book I can find, the one that has pages thinner than the Bible. I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm just saying, even if it's just because I read every single day, I'm not saying it's good stuff. I read, like, you know, I go on Snapchat and I read those trashy articles by Cosmopolitan, BuzzFeed. I read those silly articles and I just read them to read. You know, you gotta see how other people's writing styles are. You gotta see how other people have to write, because you can't expect your writing to be good if you're not looking at what everybody else has to write. You know what I mean? Don't compare yourself. I have such a bad habit of comparing myself to other people, and I know a lot of other people have too. Like, especially like in a journalism thing, I get like when the newspaper's all finished, it's all printed, fresh off the printer, I get it and I start reading. I'm like, this idea was 110% better than mine. This idea is amazing. How do they think of this? Is an amazing story. I look at my story and I'm like, dang, this is not a good month for me. You know, this is the problem. I look at other people's story, I go, this is the worst story I've ever written. You can't compare yourself to what other people have to say. It doesn't work that way. Don't compare yourself to what other people write, because you are not them. You don't have the same experiences and you don't see the world like they see the world. No one sees the world like you see it. So write about it. Write how you see the world, because no two pieces, I promise you, two people can experience the same exact situation, and when they write about it, they're gonna be two completely different stories. And that's fascinating about the human mind. We can all experience the same thing, but we all see it different. Everything, our thoughts are always gonna come out different. You can be thinking the same thing, but it's gonna be thunk differently. Okay, this video has gone on for way too long, I feel like, so I'm just gonna close it out. So again, it's such an honor for you guys to be reading this. You guys don't know how crazy that is. But I'm just gonna leave you off on this one message, is that you can do it, you can write, anybody can do it, everybody's worth it. Let me think of anything else inspirational. Just be you, be genuine, be yourself, and that's all I can offer you. Thank you so much.